Hey everybody, John with Owl Vans. In this video we are going to show you how to install the Sherpa on your van. You've got Sherpas for passenger door, Sherpas for driver door. It's basically the same process. The only real difference, sorry, we've kind of run out of storage at the office, so the van's being, it's multi-purpose at the moment. Anyway, your van will have a trim piece or a door card. They're all kind of a little bit different, but the majority of you will probably have something like this. It's got green snaps on the back. You've got a trim removal tool that you kind of wedge in there. And you wedge in the side and you just kind of pop this off as you go. The only tricky thing about the passenger side is this trim piece. It goes around this handle, this kind of door handle. And it's kind of got these little hooks that clip over. You just got to kind of take your time and work those off. Once you get that off, it comes off just like the passenger side. Then what you're going to want to do is remove the magnet. The factory magnet is super easy to remove. The magnet just kind of starts right there, and you just open up the door, and you're going to take that off with a socket. I think it's a 13 millimeter. So once you get that off, you should just see an empty hole in your door right here, and we're kind of ready to get started with mounting up the Sherpa. With your Sherpa, you're going to get these, we call them C hinges. I've gone over this before, so I'm going to splice in another video that shows you how to install those on your van. All right, now it's time to install the hinges that are these. They kind of look like C's, I guess, depending on how you look at them. They got holes in the back. Now there should be 4 bolts that you get with this. 4 of them look the same, and 3 of them look the same, and one of them looks like this. Normally we'll kind of color the top of this bolt, but you see how it's kind of narrower? That is because this bottom hole here, you need a narrower bolt. It's just that simple. So you want to go ahead and take these bolts and stick them. That bottom one sets in there like that. And then when you install these bolts, you want to make sure that this bolt is moved all the way kind of towards the side of the vehicle. That's because there's a little catch in there that can impact the top of the bolt. So once it's over here, you'll see that it's loose. That's good. Same here. So now we have these plastic. You see these little plastic washers? You slide those on the outside of the bolt like that. And then you can just go ahead and put the nuts on, tighten them down. There should be lock washers as well. You want to tighten those kind of snug, but not crank on them, because we'll actually tighten them all the way down later. So once you've got the C hinges or the C clamps installed on the hinges of your vehicle, you want to leave them a little bit loose. I may have mentioned that before. Snug them down. Don't crank them all the way down, because you want to be able to kind of adjust them a little bit while you get the other bolts in. Your Sherpa plate's going to come with 2 hinges that you have to bolt to it. It's pretty simple. Short hinge on top, long hinge on bottom, and it's obviously reversed if you're on a driver's side. This plate right here is a passenger side Sherpa. It's already got hinges on it. You're going to want to go through the plate. Here, I'll just show you with the camera. The hinges on the Sherpa are unpainted. Yours will obviously be powder coated, but you want to go from the front side with the bolt all the way through. Go ahead and put the washer and the nut on the back, and you can really crank these down. What you do want to make sure is that that hinge is square to the plate. I'm not sure if you can see how square it is in the video, but you want to make sure that when you install those hinges, you're not installing it a little bit cockeyed or anything like that. You want to make sure it's nice and square before you crank it down. You can crank that down pretty tight, 50, 60 foot-pounds, and make sure that's nice and tight. And then after you get your Sherpa installed, you always want to go back periodically, especially if you do a lot of off-road stuff, and check the tightness and make sure all your hardware is nice and snug. Things have a way of settling over time. Okay, to put the Sherpa on the vehicle, got your C hinges installed. They're snug but not cranked down. You've got your hinges installed on the Sherpa. On the back of the Sherpa should be a little sway link pre-installed. So the way you want to do this, you can do it by yourself. I recommend you have someone else help you. It just makes life a whole lot easier. The way these, before I hold it up, the way these go, I show in another video, which I'll clip in again now, but you're going to put the C channel and then a bunch of washers, and yeah. What you're going to want to do is find this bolt. It's got 2 regular washers and 2 plastic washers. Now, the way this works, I will try to show you here. everything goes inside of this C channel. Everything goes inside of the C channel. So you've got this that's already on your rack. You've got a plastic washer goes in one side, a plastic washer goes in the other side, and then you sandwich them with the metal washer. It's a little hard to show right now, but then everything goes on like this. It's a little bit fiddly to get it right, but once you get it. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So it goes outside hinge, you've got a metal washer, the plastic washer, the main hinge that goes to the bracket, and on the bottom, you're gonna put this nylock nut. Now, once you put the nylock nut on, you see there's a little bit of up-down play. Sometimes they're a little snugger. You're gonna wanna tighten this down so there's no play. So this hinge is gonna squish down a little bit onto those washers. You don't want it to be cranked down so it's really tight to move this, but you wanna make it tight enough so that you don't have up and down play. So putting the Sherpa onto the vehicle, like I said, it's best if you have two people, but you can do it by yourself. What I like to do before I worry about the washers is I just go ahead and take one of the bolts, drop it in the top, kind of move the Sherpa around until it drops in, and then that just kind of helps hold it. And then I'll take another bolt, drop into the bottom, and then watch when you rest this against your vehicle, just make sure that this bolt doesn't hit your paint or anything like that. Just rest it lightly or put a pad back there or something. Once you get it to that point, then you can go grab all of your kind of washers and hardware that I talked about. And what you can do is, now that I've got it at this point, I can pull out that bottom bolt, finagle all those washers in there, get the bolt back in, tighten that 19 down. And the other important thing, and I know I said this before, you want to take all the play out of those C hinges. So when this thing gets all bolted up, there's going to be a little bit of play, and you just want to make sure you tighten down that bottom nut enough that it takes that play out. There should be no up-down play in this. See how there's up-down play? Once everything's tight, there should be no play at all. Now it's time to go inside the van. Here you've got your link on the back of your Sherpa. It comes with a variety of little washers and so on. You're going to want to take that smallest washer, in this case it's red, and tuck it into the little slot in your van, and then you should have a bigger black washer and the round, we call it a lollipop, but it's kind of the door plate that goes through your door along with that black washer. So then you just kind of want to open your door and just feed this whole unit through. Okay, we're inside the door now, dealing with the door plate. This one is not painted black because our vans never get the good stuff. But when you get your products, this will all be painted. You've got your sway link coming through here. You want to make sure that lines up, and then you can hold this in place and use the 2 sheet metal screws. Run those sheet metal screws in the 2 bottom holes. Those are your pilot holes. Then take the sheet metal screws out, take the whole plate off, drill the holes large enough for the bolts that are included to be able to fit through. Then you've got that little kind of hockey stick looking thing. And what you're gonna do is kind of work that behind it. That's got the nuts welded to it. You're gonna put everything back together. You're gonna hold that with one hand, and then you're gonna kind of thread these bolts into that with the other. And then you wanna tighten those bolts down, alternating till they're both very, very snug. Once that's all tightened down, you can throw your nut and washer onto this bolt, and you're gonna wanna tighten that down very snug. So we got everything tight. We tightened up the hinge bolts here. We tightened up the small nuts in here to 9/16 nut. You can also get by with using like a 14 millimeter if you don't have standard. Some people are international. This is a 19 millimeter on the bottom of this bolt. And so now what we're gonna do is install the side plate. That is this. And what happens is this just bolts right here on the side. And the first thing I'm gonna do is put these little brackets on the back of the Sherpa. You should have a little extra button head hardware. 2 holes down from the hinge. And you can just kind of finger tighten this to start with, because we're gonna put the plate on and then you're gonna kind of adjust the plate a little bit. Two up from the bottom hinge. Okay, so once you get those plates installed, let me show you that. Looks kind of like this. Then once you get all the bolts in, you can kind of mess around with adjusting it however you want it, and then just tighten it down with 9/16. The front is a 7/32 Allen. Once you get the side plate on, you're pretty much done. One thing I will mention is when you open this, so that we can get the Sherpa as square as possible to the back door when it's closed and as tight to the back door, we engineered that swaling to be just the right length, so it should just very lightly touch this handle when it's open. It's not actually putting pressure on. You can move it off of the handle, but that's how it's actually designed to be. It's just to lightly touch this handle. The handle doesn't need to open when the door is open, and that keeps everything nice and tight. If you have any other questions, we are always available. We have a phone number on the contact us for the website. We also have email addresses. So if you need anything else, let us know.